afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the slight delay there. Welcome to this presentation brought to you by Nintex and Antares Solutions. Webinar topic today is building a request for proposal solution with Nintex technologies in the cloud. My name is Max McNamara. I'm a business analyst at Antares Solutions. Just to give you a bit of background, Antares Solutions is a Nintex partner and have been so for a number of years now. And I myself, being a business analyst at Antares, work with Nintex on the front line with our clients. At the moment, working on a project building a contract and tender management solution in SharePoint, utilising Nintex technologies. I've got on the line Dan from Nintex, and Dan's going to run us through today how, in real terms, how we go about building a request for proposal solution. Just an example of what Nintex Forms and Workflow can do together. So I'm going to pass you over now to Dan. He's going to run you through this webinar. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Max, and hi, everyone. Just to reiterate, hi, my name's Dan Stolen. I'm a technical evangelist here at Nintex down in Melbourne, and I service the APAC region. What I'm going to be doing today is essentially going through a fairly generic request for proposal system or an RFI type system. Now, it doesn't go into a great lot of depth, and there's obviously a lot of scope for enhancements and things like that, but this will generally give you a great idea of exactly what you can achieve with the Nintex products sitting on top of SharePoint. So just as a quick overlay, just got a couple of slides here of explaining of what I'm going to be doing over the next sort of 35 to 40 minutes. First of all, I'm going to go through and how the internal staff go ahead and create the RFP within the business to get it out there, and then we're going to step into the boots of an outside vendor outside of the company to register for that RFP, to register our interest in that particular opportunity. The documentation then, so the actual tender documents need to then go out to that particular company. Once that's all happened, we have some replies and acknowledgements, and obviously within a fairly dynamic workplace, and tender documents do change, and deadlines change, all these sorts of things change. So you need to be able to build into the system the resilience, so when a document does change, you can notify those people that have registered interest to allow them to be informed of the latest information. So we'll go through that, and I'll walk you through some of the workflows and forms and things that you can do with our products on SharePoint. Okay, some of the common issues that I've seen in my professional lifetime, not just with Nintex, but also in my time working for different government organisations and commercial organisations, is most of the common issues are there's a lot of files to deal with. So the issues around, which is the single point of truth? What is that file that is the right version? Large files as well, especially when you're talking around schematics and CAD files and things that are just too large to email around, so you normally end up having to burn them to CD to then get them to be couriered out, which starts costing a lot of money. You then have frequent revisions, as I was saying before, and you need to be able to disseminate information out to those people that are registered against that particular opportunity. And with many organisations, you may have lots of people within the organisation, within all the different departments, wanting to be able to use this particular system, and having it standardised and nice and streamlined is quite a benefit. One of the big issues that I faced as a systems administrator back in the day was authentication, and having that interface with the outside world from within our corporate environment, having subcontractors and having vendors alike being able to get data to us with not just simply receiving emails, which become unruly very quickly. So a couple of key pieces to this particular solution that I'm going to roll you through is the document exchange, the revisions and notifications, and just the ability to be able to get this out to multiple people. Okay, the different parts that I'm actually using within this solution is I'm actually using on-premise SharePoint 2013. I'm also using Nintex Workflow and Nintex Forms, and I'm also utilizing a product which we call Nintex Live, which isn't something that you purchase, it's something that you get as part of your software agreement or your software assurance with the products themselves. And what Nintex Live does is allows you to have a brokerage service with cloud services. And this is how we can go about getting our information out to the cloud and out to the vendors without having to put holes into our firewall or have to write special bespoke applications to read emails and things along those lines. Okay, so just a quick high level of the demonstration, and I'm going to register a new tender. It's going to be submitted out, and then stepping into the shoes of a vendor, I'll then submit it back into the particular business. Now, during the demonstration, if you do have any questions, I encourage you to use the questions menu over on the right-hand side. And at the end of the session, we should have 10-15 minutes to go through and answer any of these questions. Okay, so without further ado, let's get rid of some of these PowerPoint slides and cross over into my system here. So let's just close where I was at just before and go into my RFP site. Okay, so here's my SharePoint 2013 site. It's fairly generic. There's no customization going on here at all. Simply a matter of lists and a team site. And what you can see here is I've actually got 3 different lists that are formulating my application. I've got tender registration, expressions of interest, and then my tender documents. So the first thing that I need to do to get this RFP up and ready and out onto the internet is to register my tender. So let's go ahead and create a new tender. And once I've gone through this process, we'll go back into the actual technology and of how I actually went about and created this. So using Nintex Forms, I've customized my SharePoint list here, and I'm going to create a new tender. So I've got a K-12 playground that needs to be installed. Now I'm not going to put in a tender number because that's going to be automatically generated by the workflow. Now we can put in a whole lot of information here, but I won't get too elaborate. Playgrounds in the town of India, should be fine. Okay, the contact name. So the contact name is the person that's going to be publicised to the actual to the website for people to be able to contact. So this may be Bob Jones. His contact number could be a 1-800 number, a generic number for the actual tender process. Now with the start date and end date, what I'm actually doing here is I'm specifying the publishing date that this particular tender is going to go live on the internet. And how this is actually going to work is that with my workflow and using Nintex Live, I'm actually going to publish this information to a WordPress blog, which I have set up as my RFP website sitting out on the internet. So I can automate putting this information out onto the internet. Now this could be something that wouldn't need to be WordPress, for example. I'm simply using WordPress because it's free, for one, and we also have an action within Nintex Live to be able to utilize that technology. This could be a SQL call into Sitecore, or it could be another SharePoint system. It could be using Office 365, for example, to push this information up onto the internet. So scheduling this particular tender, I'm going to set it back to make sure that it gets published today. So I want it to go live straight away. So I'm going to say the start date was yesterday, and we'll make the end date 28th of March. Now the contact email, we can put in tender at Preston.com, because this will be the public facing address. Now the internal owner of this particular process will be Brett Campbell. Okay. Now I can go ahead and actually attach the documents. So I've got my two documents here. I've got a requirements matrix in Excel, and I've also got my Word document with all the requirements in there. Okay, so now we've filled out our form, we can go ahead and push save. So this is now saved back into SharePoint, and it's going ahead, and as you can see here, it's been registered into the list. Just refreshing the web part here. Okay, so the workflow is in progress. While it's going off and doing its thing, we'll go through and check out this particular workflow that's being off and created here. So opening up this particular workflow, we can see what the first thing that it actually does is actually goes through and sets the tender number for the tender document, goes through into a parallel control, and then uploads copies the attachments from that list item into the tender documents library. It then goes off and logs all the information off to the WordPress blog, uploads the documents into SkyDrive. Now we could also use Google Docs, Dropbox, and also Box, for example. But in this instance, I've gone ahead and actually used SkyDrive. Then goes down and sets the information up for to tell me if the blog was successful or not, and that's it. That's the registration complete. So with any luck, this particular workflow looks like it's stalling. Okay, so we'll just leave that sit for a while. I just installed some Microsoft updates before, so it might have something to do with it. Okay, so while that's doing its thing, let's go over and have a look at how we actually went about creating this particular form. So into the tender registration, as I showed you before, when I click on new item, I get a new form, a new Nintex form, sorry. And the way I did that was going over into the ribbon here, clicking on Nintex Forms, opening this up, and what it does is actually grabs the content type on the particular list and then generates the form based on a template. Now, I'm not much of a designer, and the UI could be improved a hell of a lot. However, this is pretty. This is as detailed as I really need it for it to be. It's functional and it works. If I wanted to go in here and do more with CSS or anything along those lines, I could if I wanted to. Okay, so now I'm in Nintex Forms, and the only thing I've actually really changed here is I've deleted an image from the out-of-the-box template and replaced it with a text panel here. And some of the things I could do now, I did mention that this tender number will be automatically generated. So instead of allowing people to be able to edit this, what we can do is go into formatting, sorry, not formatting, into appearances, and actually say, no, we're not going to enable this control, we're going to make it read-only. So by doing that, that field is now at the user front end a read-only field and won't be able to edit that particular field. Should we actually want to put any more advanced logic around that, we can actually use an expression to say majority of people can't edit this field, but let's go into is a member of a group. So we could have the tender administrators are allowed to edit this group, but not anybody else. Everyone else is just read only. I'm going to be fairly generic and just go no. Okay, so now that's on no, we can go down further, and there's nothing else really that I wanted to be able to change, or there's no, I don't need to hide fields based on other logic, but that is all very possible to do. Okay, so one of the things I can do though is I can publish this particular form into the mobile application. which comes freely with Nintex Forms and is available for iPad, iPhone, Windows 8 phone and Windows 8 desktop. So to go ahead and do that, I simply go across the top up here in the layout section and select Nintex Mobile Tablet, and this creates the iPad and the Windows 8 version. And should I wish to create a version for the Windows 8 phone or the iPhone, I can select on the Nintex mobile phone and it'll create that. As you can see, that a lot of the colors, or all of the colors essentially, have been deleted from the particular form. That's the CSS that's been stripped out. Because these forms are going into a native application on the particular devices. So to enhance this even further, we can go down into the mobile settings here and put some categories in. So we can call this RFP, and we can put an icon in here, which would be just a URL from either SharePoint or from the internet, and we can go save. Now let's just go ahead and publish my particular form. Okay, so now that's all been published, let's close out. See that my workflow is still not running. Might need to go and check the time of job service just to make sure it's all happening. But before we do that, let's cross over onto my desktop here, and we'll open up the Nintex mobile application. So now I can have field staff out there in the fields. I can come in here and I've got all of my different forms. I'll just go refresh. And now we have our RFP categorized here. We've got our tender registration form, and I can open this form up and start filling this in. As you can see, I should have actually hidden this particular field as well. But that field that's read-only is obviously not there. Had the values been populated, there would have been a value just showing up there instead of nothing. So I can actually put something in here now. So let's try something else. So we'll just say a cricket pitch, and contact name is Dan. This 12th contact, like that, and an internal. Now you can see here that the actual mobile app will actually search back into SharePoint as well. The difference with this particular mobile app and why you would use this mobile app on the different devices is that this allows you to work offline, so you don't need to be connected back to the SharePoint server, or you don't need to be connected to the internet to be able to fill in these forms and get them submitted off. So I could be out in the field doing different things. For example, I'm going to take an attachment now. Let's go attach, and we can grab a photo, or we can simply use the camera that's on the device. So here I am, but I'm going to grab a file from here, open, and that'll attach it. Now the actual mobile application can support up to 100 megabytes of transfer. So we'll submit that off, and we'll actually see if the workflow will kick off for this particular one. But I've got a sneaking suspicion that my timer job service has given up the ghost. So as you can see, the outbox here, there's nothing in there. Had I been offline, that form would have went over into the outbox to wait until I had a connection back to the internet. You also have the ability to be able to fill in any of these forms and save them as drafts, come back to them later, and then open them up. Now, used in consultation with, not consultation, but in conjunction with Nintex Workflow, workflow tasks also get synchronized into here, so I can open up tasks, get the documents associated with that particular task, make the decision. So this one's actually for a comment, not an approval reject, and I can then submit that off as I see fit. So I'll just discard those changes, and we'll close out. So let's go back into my server here, and we'll just refresh the screen. Okay. Now we're in progress, now it's actually started. So let's go and have a look at the workflow history. And we can see where it's actually gone. It's gone off and it's copied the documents off to the tender documents library. It's now shot off to WordPress and to do all that. And it's also going through, looping through the different documents to upload them off to SkyDrive. So it's going back into here and wait for that to all happen. Now what we can see here, it's automatically generated a tender number, RFP 2014-6. Looking down here into the tender documents, I've actually got RFP 2014-6 with 2 documents, and there's my 2 particular documents for that particular tender. Now while that's just continuing doing its thing, when it does these cloud functions, they actually do take 30-odd seconds to go through and to publish them out onto the internet and to come back and notify me of everything that's happened. Let's go over to SkyDrive, where I'm logged in as with my account, and we go to the tenders folder, and we can see here RFP 2014-6, and there's currently 1 document uploaded, so it's still doing the other document. Excuse me. So we'll just refresh. And it's still doing that document, so we'll just give that a second for it to go through. Okay, so the next part of this is, so let's just go and have a look to see if it's actually done the WordPress yet. Go into here. Okay, it looks like it's still publishing off to WordPress. It's okay, so we're still in progress. Let's just open up my particular WordPress website. Okay, so what it's actually done, instead of sending me an email, I've utilized the link integration within the workflow to come and actually tell me that my post has been published off to the website, and there's the link to the actual post itself. Coming into the website, I can see that my K-12 tender has actually gone live on the website with my tender number, the advertising and closing date, the information that I put in about the tender. And what I've also got here is a link to click on to register my expression of interest. So this is something, now stepping into the boots of the vendor, is that I'd be very interested in doing. So I can select this link, and what this is actually going to do is open up a Nintex form that's been published to Nintex Live, which is hosted in the cloud. And this is essentially a web form sitting out on the internet that will push the information directly back via Nintex Live, so not directly I guess, but via Nintex Live back into your SharePoint environment. So automatically it's picked up with the actual tender number that I want to use, and it's done that by using parameters in the URL string. I can put in my company name here, and we'll just go with Contoso. Oh, that's not Contoso, but that's close enough. And we can say Billy Bob is the contact, and just to show the actual, so my particular system here can't email outside onto the internet, so I'm going to use an internal email that I can use, Kristen local, and we put in a phone number. Okay, so now let's save that, and thank you very much, that's great, and I can go back to the actual site and I can look at the other tenders that are actually here as well. And if I wanted to, I could register for more tenders and not just this one particularly. Okay, so coming back into my tender site now, slipping back into my Kristen shoes, we can see that the workflow has been completed. Pay no mind to this one that I rushed through, and all my documents have been copied over. My expressions of interest, I don't have any for -6 just yet, but I do have a couple of expressions of interest for these other ones. So while we're waiting for the other one to come through, we can have a look at, okay, what will we do now? So we've got 2 people that have registered for RFP-3. Now, if I was to go into the tender documents to look at different things, now these documents don't have any tender numbers registered against them. So what we'll do is let's just wait for the expression of interest to come through. Okay, while that's happening, let's go and look at the form. Oh, no, there it's come through. So it takes about a minute, a little over a minute to come through. So there's my information that's come through from the internet back into my internal SharePoint directory. And I've got Billy Bob here who's registered his interest against this particular RFI. Now, going ahead and looking at the workflow here, I've got a tender registration notification. The workflow has actually been kicked off and has gone through and has got the email address of the owner of the particular workflow, of the owner of the particular tender, and then sent them off an email to tell them that there is someone who's registered. So what I'll do is I'll just log in here as Brett to a different desktop. Okay, so while it's just logging in, I'll open up Brett's email, and with any luck I should have an email sitting there from the system telling me that, hey, you've just received a new registration. Okay, so there it is. So we've got a congratulations, it's registered and it's been logged in. Awesome. And there's the actual links to the documents in SkyDrive. A little nasty, but they are the links that will take you into SkyDrive. Now, the way that that's actually worked is that it's gone off and actually emailed the vendor, which was eden@crescent.local, and I've BCC'd the owner of the particular the tender process, so I'm not doubling up on email traffic or emails as such, essentially. Okay, so minimizing that, and let's go back over into here. Okay, so now we've registered our interest. The email's gone back out. If I was to open up my email here as Eden Local, I'd be able to show you the same email. Coming through, 1, 2, 3. Should be Eden@local, Eden@crescent.local. No, we'll wait for it to come through. Okay, so now that we've got our particular documents here, we might need to actually do something with them. So let's edit my document, and we can start working on it and doing anything else that we might need to do to it. Now, saving this. So now that I've actually gone through and done that, I would need to be able to go through and let all of those people that have registered for this particular tender know that there's been an update. So to do that, you can set up another workflow. Now there's one that I did here just quickly before, just in case I ran out of time, and there it is there. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly, I'll go in and actually create it so I can show you how I went about creating it. So the first things first is that I need to be able to know who needs to know about this particular document. So let's first of all grab a query list action, and we need to query the actual expressions of interest and place a filter on here. And using the metadata on the documents and on the expressions of interest, we need to be able to get the tender, so the tender number has to be equal to the tender number of the actual document. Now, where that's true, we want to be able to get the email address. So let's add that particular field. Now, once we do that, we need to store that email address into a variable. So let's go new, and Now, because there potentially could be more than one, we need to store these into a collection. So we'll call this emails, and let's put a colon on the end of it, not for collection, and we'll go collection. Go save. And what we'll need to do as well is also create just a single variable for email, and I'll show you why in 2 seconds. And we'll go save. Okay, so let's now just assign that collection variable to there and save. Okay, very good. The next thing I need to do is actually upload the document to SkyDrive. So going into Nintex Live, I can go ahead and grab my SkyDrive upload document. Now the way that I would actually get that is to go into the catalog initially, and once I've got the action down into my workflow designer, I can then go ahead and use it on and on. But in the actual Nintex Live catalog, there's over 100 actions here that you can utilize, whether it be getting the weather or integrating with Office 365 if you've got a hybrid environment, all the way down obviously to different SkyDrive actions. So if you wanted to build in the logic within here as well to say, upload the documents to SkyDrive, but I want the documents deleted 3 days later. I don't want them sitting up in SkyDrive for eternity, sort of thing. You can build that kind of logic into your workflow and management as well. And then, as I was saying before, you can also use Google Drive to store any of your documents, or Dropbox, for example, as well. So we've also got Dropbox actions that you can utilize. It's not just all about Microsoft. Okay, so coming back into here and going to Insert Actions, going to Nintex Live, and we want the Upload SkyDrive action. So double clicking on here, we want to upload the current item. The destination is, from memory, it is the tenders folder. So we want to type in tenders, and we want the actual tender number to be a subfolder. Now the destination name will be the file name and extension, so we'll use the item properties name, and for authorizing user, this will be the account of which will authorize you to use the SkyDrive account, or whichever account it could be. Excuse me. So outlook.com. Okay, now there's one thing that I might want to get back here, and that's the actual URL to the new document. Should it actually change? So we're going to close, and we'll assign that to the variable like so. Okay, and that's that, and we can save that. So what we need to do now is to actually set up a run for each loop. And what this run for each loop is, or the for each loop, is that we give it a collection of information, so a delimited list of information, and this will loop through that information using each value at a time. Now, as it uses each value, it stores that particular value into a single variable. So in my case, I might have a collection of emails, and as it goes through that collection of emails, it pulls out the single value email and places it into a different variable. So by doing that, I can now put in the send notification email, and then utilize that particular variable so we can say item properties, tender number, document updated. Oops. And just now, you'd obviously be a lot more elegant than that, but what I need to do now is actually add the URL as a link. so, and save. So one of the things I can do now is actually make this a little bit easier for my end users and go into workflow settings. Now this needs to be a manually started workflow. This is not something that starts automatically. So we want to call this send update, and we're going to publish this and enable it from the start item menu. So we're going to have send update. Now we're actually going to, now this is a little trick, we're going to go custom and delete this out. And what that allows it to do is to actually start the workflow straight away without prompting you to say, here's the workflow, push the start button to kick off the workflow. So this will skip that particular process. So let's go save, and we'll publish this out. Okay, so now we've published our workflow, which will go through and get all of the email addresses of all the registered users for that particular RFI. You will then upload that document to SkyDrive, and then it will go through and email everyone about it. Okay, one of the things I think I did not tick, so I better just check. We need to overwrite the file, so we don't want multiple copies on SkyDrive. So let's go republish that. Okay, and close. Okay, so now when I'm back in my home here, and I'm going down to here, and I've gone through and I've updated this particular document, and I need to send out an update, I can simply go to here and go send update. Now when I push this send update, remind you I have not tested this at all, so blind luck if this all works through. This will automatically go through, upload the document. No, it's because something still yet to be completed. It's because I've already started something. Okay, so that's what happens when you don't test. But what this would actually do then is go off, update the particular document to SkyDrive, and send out an email notification to all of the people here. So it would have sent one off up to Bill and Bob. And essentially that's it. Now you could make this a lot more elaborate. This was something I built in the last sort of over about 4 or 5 hours over the last 2 or 3 days. And as you can see, with the couple of little bugs that we've had, not a lot of testing has gone in, but it shows you the power of some of the things you can actually do, whereas you've got your on-premise information that you need to get out there and onto the internet so people can find out about it. It's obviously very low cost. There's no subscriptions or extra fees you need to pay for that internet connectivity as such. That's all done as part of the software licensing. And you've also got the ability to be able to have field staff get this information into the system. So if you've got remote workers that may be off at a satellite site that have poor comms, they can still work using the mobile app and get these things into RFP sites rather than having to fax documents through or email documents to the headquarters to get them to put the RFPs into the system. So I know we're starting to run short on time, so if anyone's got any questions, by all means ask away, and I'll answer as many as I possibly can. Okay, so one question I've got here is, will the mobile app be available on Android anytime soon? And the answer to that is yes, it will be. We're looking to release the Android version of the mobile application in around the June timeframe. It's currently in proof of concept at the moment, and will be released in a matter of months. So yeah, so that's well and truly on the way. Just to add to that, BlackBerry will not be featuring in that particular list.
Thanks, Dan. Yep, as Dan said, guys, if you do have any further questions or wants to see what Dan's done in more detail, maybe how it relates to your organisation a bit more closely, do contact us. Best email address to get the team here would be just info@antarisolutions.com.au. Once again, thanks, Dan. Thanks, everyone, for attending.